I was talking with our Dr Hilary about the growing pressure on the NHS as the second wave of coronavirus takes hold. I'm joined now by our Dr Alex, who knows all about the reality of the frontline because he lives it. That's his job. Alex, it's lovely to see you. Happy New Year, my love. It's great to see you as always. And, well, what's it like out there?
Happy New Year, Lorraine. It's lovely to see you as well. As you've heard from Dr Hilary earlier, there's growing pressures, growing numbers, and I think there's a great growing concern across the country as well about how many patients are being admitted to the hospital. We are seeing a huge amount of pressure, to be honest, on the front line. I hate to be negative, I don't want to be negative, but we are finding it tough at the moment, to be honest. We're probably seeing the levels of pressures that we saw in March and April. With the number of unwell patients that we're seeing in our resus department and the number of patients that we need to admit to intensive care. To be honest, in the last week or so, we have had times where we've been really up against it in terms of space and capacity. We've actually had to expand our areas of COVID patients to be able to have enough space to see the patient. So essentially allowing for more areas for doctors and nurses to treat unwell patients with COVID. Now, of course, we have some room for expansion, but there's always a limit. And so we need to be so careful. We're doing everything we can to reduce how many cases there are, reducing the spread of this virus, because ultimately, like Dr Hilary said, we do not want to see a case or a situation where we have to turn people away from intensive care. It's just not something any of us want to see.
No, of course not. So we've got to do our bit. We've got to stick to those rules. I mean, I know we've said it a million times, but, hand washing, keeping safe distance, just being much, much more aware. Because obviously now, I guess you've got more weapons to fight this horrible virus. But at the same time, you must all be absolutely exhausted, mentally and physically.
Lorraine, I think you're absolutely right. I think that's a big part of what's tough at the moment. First time round, we're all very energised. I think there's low levels of staff sickness. What we're seeing now is that there are more staff off and well with COVID and who are maybe burnt out and fatigue and things from this pandemic. And there's kind of that cumulative effect of how long it's gone on for as well. This is a long period of time. What I will say, though, is that 2 points. We do have a lot more in our arsenal. Like you said, we have really good treatments we know that can really help. And secondly, as well, we are in a position where we can at least have optimism. There is a way out. There is this vaccine now. The great news today that we have another vaccine that's available, and I understand there's about 500,000 doses ready to go. Having that kind of light at the end of the tunnel is real optimism. You can feel that in the workplace. When I'm in A&E and I'm talking to my consultants and my colleagues, everyone is saying, look, this is tough right now. It's hard. But we know there is light at the end of this tunnel. Back in March and April, we didn't know when this would end, simply. But at least now we can see that kind of end goal in sight.
That's true, and that must help morale because, if you're overwhelmed and this horrible feeling of you might have to turn people away if it keeps getting, the numbers are very distressing. That's difficult. So we need something to hang on to. And I think, especially this Monday morning, seeing those images of people being vaccinated, it gladdens the heart, doesn't it, Dr Alex?
Absolutely. I mean, you can see the images there on screen, and I was watching just a little bit earlier, and it actually makes you a bit emotional, to be honest. Like, when you've seen really tough things and, you've seen people dying, ultimately, of this horrible virus, to see something... to see a vaccine being rolled out that ultimately can protect people and save their lives, it chokes you up a bit, to be honest.
I'm not surprised. I think it does that to all of us. I think we're all feeling it just now. And it's what I said, physically exhausting, but also, the effect, and we've talked about this many times last year, about the effect on mental health. And I know that's something that you are very, very passionate about and something that you've been talking about a lot. I've been watching you on social media talking about that, and it's so important.
It is, absolutely. And what I would say to everyone right now is look out for yourself, look out for each other, look after yourselves. It's going to be a difficult couple of months, but we will get through. Whether you're working on the front line, the NHS, or you've been affected by the isolation. A lot of people have spent Christmas at home alone or maybe not with their loved ones. Keep your chin up. We will get through, but please do, reach out and ask for help if you're struggling. There's so many people in a similar situation. You're not alone, and we really do care. We want to hear if you're struggling.
No, very much so. And it's not just, you know, it's not just us, people like us and people who are worried about it, but it affects absolutely everyone, doesn't it? It really does. Even the people that are real stalwarts, you know, and are putting a brave face on it. And I know that all of you do that because you have to do your job. But actually, it's hard. And even for little kids, it's hard for them too.
It is, and I think people put a brave face on sometimes, but I think there's many people that would say that this has not affected them. And I'm really worried about, you know, you mentioned children, I'm really worried about school kids at the moment, and especially with the fact we might be facing closures at school. I understand, of course, that if the cases are high enough, and you know the kind of risks outweigh the benefits, then schools might need to close. But that can be that's really worrying for children's mental health. You know, Lorraine, I know you are supportive of the posts and the things I've been doing on social media at the moment. I'm desperate to speak to Prime Minister Boris Johnson and the Educational Secretary as well, to discuss, you know, what is going on at schools ultimately, and to discuss how we can make changes. I've been researching and speaking to charities, mental health charities, organisations, educational leads, teachers, parents and children over the last few months to find out what's going on at schools and what needs to change. And I really, really believe that there are key things that need to change, that must change, especially with what's happening at the moment. I think COVID's really highlighted you know, the mental health issues in this country, and I think we're probably going to face a mental health crisis unless we act. So I hope that the Prime Minister, as busy as he is, might be able to give me a little bit of his time to discuss some of the ideas that I have.
Well, we are right behind you, and I think that's an amazing thing that you're doing in the middle of all of this, being on the front line and as well as thinking about other people. I know it's something you're very passionate about, so we shall keep a very close eye on that and support you all the way. It's always a joy to talk to you, my love. Thank you. We'll talk to you on Wednesday though, because we're going to be talking about going into the new year and how we can all make the most of it and be as positive as we can. I know it's difficult, but you are just the man to help us. Thank you.
Thank you, we'll do it. Thank you, Lorraine.
Don't forget, you can watch full episodes of Lorraine on the ITV Hub and all the best clips, compilations and playlists right here on our channel. Just subscribe now and you'll never miss an upload. Click here to watch another video similar to this one, or click here to head to our channel's homepage to explore all of our exciting videos.